Namaste friends. Today in this slide we are going to discuss on jurisprudence. Here I have one important book, Jurisprudence, written by J.G. Riddle. However, topics of first chapter is so much funny one. He writes, I hate jurisprudence. Why did J.G. Riddle hate jurisprudence? Here he gives one example. Here is one simple statement. How would Hart means HLA Hart, fit the common law into his idea of the law being made of rules? This statement written in simple language, but academicians, philosophers don't use such kind of simple language. They prefer highly academic language, like how would the notion of common law be conceptualized within a Hartian positivist schematic view of law as a framework of normative assertion. So, if we don't have habit to read highly professional, highly academic writing, we feel trouble to understand the meaning of those writing. So, it makes us difficult to understand what author going to say. So, many people hate jurisprudence. Actually, jurisprudence is a study about theory of law, and here are two terminologies. One is theory and one is law. What is the difference between law and theory? Here is one example from our penal code. Any person has sexual intercourse with a woman without her consent or with a girl child below 18 years of age, even with her consent, the person shall be considered to commit rape. This is the law. The law answers the what type of question? What is the provision? What type of human behavior is criminalized? The law gives such kind of answer. But law never say why type of answer. To know the why, we need theory. In this law, there is provision of 18 years. Why law make the difference between below 18 and above 18? Children below 18 are considered to be not mature emotionally and mentally. They are not capable of distinguish right or wrong. Guardians should be taken decision on behalf of them. Even they give consent for sex, especially girl child, that consent won't be considered as legal consent. That is the theory behind this legal provision. Law is fact, but interpretation of law by theory might be vary. Not in social science, even in natural science, the theory may be vary. For example, every morning sun rises in the east. That is law. Because yesterday sun rises in east, today sun rises in east, even tomorrow we are certain that sun will rise in east. That is the law. But why sun every morning rise in east? There are two opposite theory. In ancient times, there was common belief that earth is in center. That we called geocentric theory, and that theory give the reason that sun moves around the earth from east to west. That is the geocentric theory. Now we believe in heliocentric theory. That theory says earth itself move from west to east. So we see every day sun rises in east. That is the heliocentric theory. Even in natural science theory, the reason can be vary. In social science, can there unanimous definition about the law all over the world? Of course not. For example, human rights issue in Hong Kong, Tibet, can US and China have same view? No. In humanitarian issue, can Western and Russia have same interpretation about humanitarian law in the context of Ukraine crisis? Of course not. Right of women, can Christian law and Sharia law, the Islamic law, can say same thing? Of course not. Even India and Nepal share same culture. Both legal systems are heavily influenced by Hindu philosophy. Both adopt common law system, but practice of law and its interpretation in court is very, very different. There are various theory and various interpretation. All this study of this interpretation of this theory is called jurisprudence. Law doesn't have unanimous definition. The way of defining the law and practice of law is different among scholars and countries. We cannot determine this interpretation of law is final interpretation. Legal scholars and jurists define the law in various ways. Major thought on legal theory and philosophy are grouped in their basis of commonality about law interpretation, which is called school of thought, and we will discuss various schools later in different slides. There are natural school of thought, analytical school of thought, historical, sociological, socialist, realist, and others. Defining law is matter of thought. So jurisprudence concerned with two basic questions about law. First is, what is law? It deals with function of law, where does law come from, how law is made, and next is how law ought to be. Deal with ideal definition of law, goal of law. Especially natural school of thought have specific interest on how law ought to be. The term jurisprudencia comes from Latin word. Juris stand for upright of law. Prudencia stand for knowledge of foreseeing. Two terminology combined makes jurisprudencia, which stand for the science of law or the philosophy of law. And here are some scholarly definition on jurisprudence. Jurisprudence is the knowledge of things human and divine, the science of just and unjust. Ulpine Jurisprudence is the philosophy of positive law. Austin Jurisprudence is the science of first principle of civil law. Salmond Jurisprudence is lawyer's extraversion. Julius Stone Jurisprudence is the scientific synthesis of all essential principles of law. C.K. Allen. The definition by C.K. Allen is most comprehensive one, which include all essential principles of law. Jurisprudence is philosophical aspect of knowledge of law. Cicero. Jurisprudence is science of right. Kant. Jurisprudence is study of fundamental legal principle. Cetera. Here are three gentlemen, Salmond, Bentham, and Austin. They classified jurisprudence in two categories. Salmond categorized generic and specific. Bentham categorized sensorial and expositorial. Austin categorized general and particular. But the former one, generic, sensorial, or general, talks about universal principle, and specific, expositorial, or particular, these three study on specific place or country's law. Here are some books and articles on jurisprudence. Natural law in jurisprudence and politics. M.C. Murphy. How persuasive is natural law theory. Greenwald. The province of jurisprudence defined. Austin. Limit of jurisprudence defined. Bentham. General theory of law and state. Kelson. The purity of pure theory. Joseph Raj. Actually, Kelson wrote the book Pure Theory of Law, and as an academic debate, Joseph Raj wrote The Purity of Pure Theory. There are various academic legal debate. The famous one is Hart-Fuller debate. Definition and Theory in Jurisprudence by H.L.A. Hart. Contemporary Legal Philosophy. McCormick. Theory of Justice. John Rawls. Principle of Sociology of Law. Early Contemporary Juristic Theory. Roscoe. Philosophy of Right. Hegel. Introduction to Jurisprudence. Lloyd. Jurisprudence mainly deal with two fundamental questions: what is law and what law ought to be. What do you think, friends? What is law and what law ought to be? You can share your opinion in comment section below. Thank you for your kind attention.